Today we're taking a look at these NFL matches, which are happening on Sunday, December 18, 2022, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and push that notification bell to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos. Also, check out our perks and join the High Stakes membership. Joining the High Stakes membership is easy, is cheap, but it will help a lot in the growth process of this channel. Plus, if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. Multiple plans are available for each and every one of you. By becoming a member of the High Stakes Patreon, you will have access to our best team picks, total picks, parlay picks and much more. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting predictions that ends up costing you a lot of time and money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks. Going back to our video, we will give you 2 betting picks for each game, a team pick and a total pick based on facts and detailed explanation. One more thing before we start, check out our new channel High Stakes Props and Parlays, where you can find our player props and parlay picks predictions. You will find the link in the description and comments section below. And make sure to watch our videos till the end so you don't miss any of our picks. Tennessee Titans vs Los Angeles Chargers. These are the situations Mike Vrabel lives for. The Titans head coach is 21-8 all-time in his career as an underdog of 3 or more, which is exactly the situation Tennessee finds themselves in this week against a rejuvenated Chargers team coming off an upset win of their own on Sunday night. Buying low and selling high is always a good long-term strategy in the NFL, despite the recency bias of what we saw last week. I was impressed with how the Chargers played, especially defensively, against a Dolphins team that has all the talent in the world. However, I think Brandon Staley deserves a lot of the credit for how his team out-schemed Mike McDaniel, despite being short-handed with their personnel, especially in the secondary without Derwin James. Miami likes to take shots deep middle, but the Chargers did a nice job with outside leverage and forced Tua to make accurate throws outside the hash marks, which he was unable to do. The Dolphins abandoned the run for most of the game, but even when they tried, they weren't very effective, with Raheem Mostert being held to 3.4 yards per carry. Tua broke off a couple of nice ones on broken plays, but overall they had just a 31% success rate on running plays. In steps Derrick Henry and the Titans offense desperate to break out after 3 turnovers against the Jaguars on Sunday. Ryan Tannehill was responsible for 2 by himself, 1 int, 1 fumble, and I expect a much better game from him against a very undermanned Chargers defense that could struggle against the physicality that Tennessee will bring. Add in the possible return of Treylon Burks from a concussion, and I think we're getting a favorable number here at 3 with the Titans. Our first pick, Titans plus 3 points. I think the over makes some sense here as well. When these teams played just 2 weeks ago, there were 40 points scored and neither offense played particularly well. We only need 1 more point than in that one, and that was a game where each quarterback was sacked at least 4 times and each averaged less than 7 yards per pass attempt. Washington managed to bottle up Saquon Barkley as he only tallied 63 yards on 18 carries, and despite all that, they pretty much equaled this total. Terry McLaurin had 105 yards and a touchdown 2 weeks ago, and he's historically torched this Giants team. New York is banged up on defense, and it's still unclear whether or not Washington is going to get Chase Young back for this one. Heineke struggled with the blitzes Wink Martindale sent at him last matchup, and I don't see why that would change in just 2 weeks. The Giants' only real offense in the first meeting was Daniel Jones' legs, and Washington should be more prepared to take his rushing out of the game here. Our second pick is over 40.5 points. New York Giants vs Washington Commanders. We've got an NFC East game with massive stakes for Sunday Night Football here as the New York Giants travel to take on the Washington Commanders. Both teams are 7-5-1 and need this one like blood to keep pace in the NFC playoff race. The Giants have stumbled a bit recently as they've picked up 3 losses and 1 tie in their past 4 games. Everybody has long since written off their hot start as a complete fluke, but I'm taking the points with the underdog G-men here. For starters, these teams just played each other a couple weeks ago, and they couldn't have looked much more even while playing to a 20-20 tie. The New York Giants head into this game 7-5-1 for this season. The last time they took the field, the Giants played the Eagles and walked away from this one with a loss by a score of 48-22. Daniel Jones finished 18-27 with 169 yards through the air and 1 TD. He had a QB rating of 96.1 and ended the game with no picks. Richie James left with an average of 8.7 yards per catch by recording 61 yards on 7 receptions. Saquon Barkley was the leader on the ground for the Giants with 9 totes for 28 yards, 3.1 yards per attempt. In the game, they tallied 62 plays which gave them 304 yards. The New York Giants rushed the ball a total of 23 different times and recorded 123 yards, earning them an average of 5.3 yards per attempt. When it came to stopping the run, the Giants conceded 253 yards on 31 attempts, which is an average of 8.2 yards per run surrendered. New York conceded 21 completions on 31 tries for 184 yards and a completion percentage of 67.7%. New York's 3 losses in that span came against the Lions, Cowboys and Eagles, who are the 3 hottest teams in the NFC right now. The criticism of the Giants and Daniel Jones has gotten a bit out of control, and now is the time to buy low. I like Taylor Heinicke as much as the next guy, but he's been starting to regress lately. In Washington's last game before their bye, he took 5 sacks against the same Giants pass rush. The week before that he threw for only 138 yards against an abysmal Falcons defense. Their big upset over the Eagles on Monday Night Football about 5 weeks back was great, but outside of that Washington hasn't beaten anybody notable. Everybody has been so quick to declare the Giants frauds that nobody has stopped to ask whether Washington is actually any good. I think the answer is no, and 4.5 points is way too big of a spread for 2 teams that aren't far apart at all. Give me the G-men plus the points. Our first pick is Giants plus 4.5 points. I think the over makes some sense here as well. When these teams played just 2 weeks ago there were 40 points scored and neither offense played particularly well. We only need 1 more point than in that one, and that was a game where each quarterback was sacked at least 4 times and each averaged less than 7 yards per pass attempt. Washington managed to bottle up Saquon Barkley as he only tallied 63 yards on 18 carries, and despite all that they pretty much equaled this total. Terry McLaurin had 105 yards and a touchdown 2 weeks ago, and he's historically torched this Giants team. The Giants have earned 4,265 total yards for the year. New York has recorded 127 first downs as a team, and they have been flagged for 83 infractions for 648 yards. In terms of scoring touchdowns, New York has compiled 13 touchdowns via the pass and 16 rushing touchdowns. They have turned the football over 13 different times, 5 picks and 8 fumbles. As a team they hold an average of 147.6 yards on the ground, ranking them 6th in the National Football League. Regarding getting in the end zone, the New York Giants are sitting at 20.5 points per contest. Concerning passing yardage, the Giants have surrendered 2,809 yards, which ranks them 17th in the league. They have surrendered 216.1 yards per contest via the pass, in addition to allowing a completion percentage of 60.8%. During this campaign, they are allowing 365.8 yards game, ranking them 26th in the NFL. They have relinquished 16 touchdowns by air and 15 touchdowns running the ball. Opposing teams are running for an average of 5.4 yards per rushing attempt and 149.7 rushing yards per game for the year. Over the course of this year, they have conceded 1,946 yards via the ground game in 13 games. The Giants are ranked 20th in the league in relation to the opposition scoring, allowing 23.1 points per contest. New York is banged up on defense, and it's still unclear whether or not Washington is going to get Chase Young back for this one. Heinicke struggled with the blitzes Wink Martindale sent at him last matchup, and I don't see why that would change in just 2 weeks. The Giants' only real offense in the first meeting was Daniel Jones' legs, and Washington should be more prepared to take his rushing out of the game here. Our second pick is over 40.5 points.